business as usual in the Channel today, as hundreds of illegal migrants are currently crossing the Channel in the biggest surge of small boats so far this year. Now, this also comes as figures show that French police allowed 2/3 of migrant crossings to reach Britain, despite Britain sending £700 million to France to stop this. It's turning into a complete French farce. Let's now speak with GB News' Homeland Security editor, Mark White, who has this superb exclusive for us today. Mark, here we go again. 500, I believe, now crossing the Channel today. That's already a record. 2026 has already surpassed 2025 and 2024. More waiting on the beaches. And you've got some incredible figures for us about just how ineffective the French police are.
Yes, I mean, it's all still going on in the Channel at the moment. So the latest we can bring you is that 2 more Border Force vessels are heading back to Ramsgate with yet more migrants. So the figure, we believe, will top 600 today in the winter. I mean, that's what is so unusual about what we're seeing out there in the Channel. These are the kind of days in terms of this surge of 600 odd crossing the Channel that we wouldn't normally see until the summer months. A couple of hundred during the winter months would be an excessively busy day. And as you mentioned in your intro there, Martin, we're at the stage where we're actually now ahead of the total that arrived at this point last year and indeed the year before in 2024. And we can bring you some exclusive video on board one of the boats that made that journey across the Channel today. They set out under the cover of darkness. You can see them there. And as the camera tilts round occasionally to them, there's thumbs up, there's jubilation from these migrants at the fact that they're headed to the UK as they wave at the camera there, taking selfies, of course, to document their journey, an illegal journey, a journey that is one that is, of course, outlawed, not going through designated ports into the UK. But here they are. As I say, just one boat out of more than 10 boats that set off from French beaches this morning, headed to the UK, Martin.
And Mark White, it gets worse, because I believe your intel has told you today there are at least 4,500 additional immigrants just queuing on the beaches of Calais and Dunkirk to be next all aboard the boats, all aboard the Starmer. And then, incredibly, the returns, the numbers of craft that the French actually stop. There's the high figure they give us, which I believe is 22,476. But Mark White, you think the actual number that the French are physically prevented from leaving is a fraction of that?
Yeah, those figures are misleading. I don't know if it's deliberately misleading, but they are misleading. More than 22,000, we're told, is the number of small boat migrants who were stopped, is the phraseology that's used by the French, from reaching the UK. Well, that is not true in terms of the numbers reaching the UK. It's nowhere near that. Certainly 22,000 migrants didn't reach the UK by a number of for a number of different reasons. So one of the reasons was the unreliability of these engines, these small boat outboard motors that the vessels use to drive them across the Channel. They're constantly breaking down. So multiple vessels over the past year or so have had to turn back because of engine failure. Also, they ram the boat so full that even if the engine doesn't fail, it's not powerful enough to push it through the water to get to the UK. And then there's the weather. When the weather suddenly deteriorates, that means some boats don't make it through and have to turn back. And then the French escort patrols move in, take the migrants off these boats and return them to France. But that is not in any way the same as the French police actually intervening and stopping the migrants from getting on the boats, getting out to sea in the first place. And my understanding is that it's a very tiny proportion of that 22,000 plus figure. high hundreds, maybe 1,000 or two, even that could be generous in terms of actual interventions on the beach. Most of these boats get into the water knowing that once they're in the water, if their boats hold up, if they don't break down, they are headed to UK waters and then will be picked up by the UK authorities and enter our asylum system. And I think what this really does is just cement in the minds of so many people that we should not be giving the French £700 million in additional funding for their border security if that is not really seeing any sort of dividends in terms of those that are stopping from leaving the beaches in the first place.
Mark White, it's utterly astonishing. It's like, this must be one of the most lucrative business models on the planet, and we have governments simply impotent, incapable, I don't know what, to even stop it. It's incredible. Mark White, thank you very much for bringing us up to speed, as ever. Another great exclusive from you there, best in the business. Thank you very much.
Every time your phone connects to public Wi-Fi, anyone nearby could snoop on what you're doing. Hackers can steal your information, passwords, photos, and bank details in just seconds. ExpressVPN encrypts your connection, making it virtually impossible for hackers to access your personal information. ExpressVPN is so easy to use. With just one click of a button, you're protected. Streaming, banking, or shopping, you can switch between high-speed servers worldwide in seconds, and your connection never slows down. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code to get up to 75% off, plus 4 extra months free, all backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. Protect your online life today.
Mark White, back to studio. I'm joined by Catherine Forster and Nigel Nelson. Catherine Forster, let's start with you. Lest we forget, it was only a few weeks ago that Keir Starmer came back from China saying, have no fear. We're going to stop the engines being supplied from China. Nothing to see here, lads. These gangs will be well and truly smashed. The figures are getting worse. 600 is a summer number. It's still winter. It's paving the way for another record-breaking year already. And the £700 million we're sending to the French, if Mark White's intel is correct, and I have no reason to doubt him, he's superb. That means if only 1,000 are actually being intercepted on the beaches, the rest are getting beyond the gendarmes. They're coming back because their boats are conking out. The same Chinese motors, by the way, that conk out because they're rubbish, that they're stopping using altogether anyway. And by my reckoning, if 1,000 are being returned and we're paying 700 million, we're paying 700 grand. For every single person the French are actually stopping on the beaches. It's absurd. It's time, I put it to you, to defund the French.
And, of course, as well, if at first you don't succeed, try again. It's not like they don't make it one time and then they just stop. Yeah. They go back, they regroup, they try in another week or another month and so on and so forth. I mean, I've sort of lost count, to be honest, of the numbers of initiatives. As you mentioned, China. I was in Rome with the Prime Minister, I think September 2024, where he was learning about how the Italians have really managed to get a grip of illegal migration. Then we had announcements with Germany regarding small boats, the deal that French will be able to intercept boats in shallow water, and yet they don't. You get these announcements, you're told there's no silver bullet, but it all helps. But collectively, the numbers last year were up 13% on the year before. Now, Shabana Mahmood, the new Home Secretary, is talking much tougher. She wants to learn from Denmark. And I think it is really interesting that although, you know, it may be ultimately that we need to leave the ECHR and much else besides to stop this, but somehow in Denmark, they've managed not to do that, but they've managed to make it so unwelcoming for migrants that largely they have stopped coming. At the moment, of course, you get here, you get put in a hotel, you get your NHS, you get your dental, you get whatever. Why would you not want to come? And of course, we've seen, as Mark White has shown us, the adverts that there are on social media saying, come on over, it's great when you get here.
Do you think the public are just running out of faith now? And I'm not just levelling this at the Labour Party. It was just as bad with the Conservative Party. You know, the Boris wave, that was through the front door. The back wave, they couldn't stop the boats. This lot can't smash the gangs. They can bang on about Italy, about deals with French, about warehouses in Germany, about Chinese motors, about doing some deal with Giorgia Meloni or with Denmark. Nothing's working. It's getting worse. How much longer can the public be tagged along before they just say, do you know what? This is ridiculous. You don't know what you're doing.
Well, yeah. And of course, before the boats, we had people coming across in lorries, didn't we? But I remember years ago, Nigel Farage, when we were seeing the explosion of people coming across the Mediterranean, saying, mark my words, it's going to be in the Channel next. And of course, they clamped down on the lorries. And it is in the Channel. And it's such a visible mark of failure, isn't it? When, the Brexit vote, take back control, including of our borders. And we very clearly have almost no control of our borders because on a daily basis, we're seeing people breaking into the country.
Nigel Nelson, we are officially an international laughingstock. We are officially an international magnet for asylum seekers, illegal immigrants from all around the continent of Europe. Thousands of extras waiting on the beaches to join the Starmer. It's a merry-go-round. If they get stopped, they simply go back into the dunes and join the back of the queue. This topic sunk the Conservatives. I put it to you, it's going to do the same to the Labour Party. They're stone cold dead unless they can do something miraculous about this sharpish.
I don't think we're a laughing stock because most other countries are going through something similar or alternatively worse. Italy, for instance, has far more people coming in than we do. So it's a problem that goes across Europe. It's actually a global problem.
So that's our answer. Oh, don't worry, it's worse in Italy.
No, it's not. The whole thing is
that part of the modern world.
If people think this can be solved overnight, it can't. It needs a long-term solution. The gangs are being broken. The National Crime Agency...
Where's the evidence for that? Record numbers today, mate.
Okay, give you an example. On Monday, 2 people smugglers were convicted of bringing Vietnamese in the back of a lorry. But what I'm saying is, this is happening. That gangs are being broken. The NCA is on the trail of 100 other people smuggling gangs. But it's not enough. It's not stopping the boats coming across. What it is doing is stopping more people coming across than we're getting already.
How can you prove that? That's like saying,
hang on. You like arithmetic. So do the arithmetic.
We're stopping it's utterly terrible. It's the worst it's ever been, lads, but it could be much worse.
Well, yeah, if you're stopping people smugglers bringing people across, clearly something is working. Yes, it could be worse. Yes, we could have more people crossing the channel.
And that's your answer. It could be worse, so put up with this farce.
No, I'm not saying put up with it. I'm saying that no political party, Tory government, Labour government...
Donald Trump's managed it. What about going Trump?
Because it's a completely different case. Donald Trump is dealing with places like Mexico and South America where he can send people straight back.
Well, why can't we do the same?
How do you send people back? This is reform policy, and they still haven't explained how they could possibly deport people. It's always the same from the left. I'm not being funny, without the agreement of those countries.
It's excuses about why we can't do stuff. Meanwhile, TikTokers are advertising their wares in the channel. They're laughing at us. The taxpayers are picking up the bill. And I'm telling you what, this is going to cause a political revolution. They can't get their acts together.
Will, but the point I'm trying to make to you, as every government has found out, there is no instant answer to this. There could be a long-term one if we actually could do offshore processing.
So how many years of this we have to put up with before this magical solution materialises?
It is not going to just disappear.
But Nigel, it's supply and demand. If there is a demand to get across the channel,
precisely,
because you see what you're given when you get here,
absolutely,
they will always find a way to make that supply available.
And if you had offshore processing, they wouldn't go to the channel because they could go somewhere else.
But the Labour Party cancelled that on day one. It was called the Rwanda Plan.
Well, the Rwanda Plan wasn't offshore processing. That was actually sending people to Rwanda to stay there. And if you remember, the Supreme Court ruled it unlawful.
Well, look, it's only February, and we're already at a record day. I suspect we're having this conversation much more throughout the year. Catherine Forster, Nigel Nelson, superb as ever. Thank you, Mark White, for a great exclusive.